So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our Intro to Cybersecurity Certifications event. We're glad you decided to spend your morning, afternoon, or evening with us, learning a little bit more about the in-demand field of cybersecurity. I am not on this slide, but I am Jordan. I am a member of the marketing team here at Flatiron School, and I will be working behind the scenes this evening. So I will be monitoring the chat, answering Q&A, and just facilitating. So if you have any issues or anything, please let me know. Your fearless leaders this evening are going to be Scott, who is a senior career coaching manager here at Flatiron School, and SecureSet, our sister school. And we have Syed, who's an instructor for our cybersecurity program. He also holds many certifications and has really firsthand experience with a lot of the certifications we'll be talking about this evening. Before I hand it off to them, here's our agenda. So I'm going to do just a quick introduction to Flatiron School for any of our new friends on the line. And then we're going to go into the presentation. Then we're going to take a bunch of questions. So we're going to save most of those for the end. And we're happy to answer questions about this specific topic or what it's like to study at Flatiron School, which, speaking of, for those of you who may be unfamiliar, Flatiron School is an award-winning coding bootcamp that has helped thousands of students break into tech and land jobs that they love. We believe that education is the best investment that you can make for your future. So we're committed to helping you learn the skills you need to change yours for the better, which is why this is our mission statement on the screen here. We currently offer career-changing courses in software engineering, data science, cybersecurity, and product design with flexible pacing options. We have campuses across the country in these cities that are listed here. If you're in the Colorado area, you may be more familiar with SecureSet, which is our sister school, which has campuses in Denver and Colorado Springs. Our true differentiator, we believe, is our proven job search framework, which has helped thousands of grads break into the tech industry and land jobs at companies like these and many, many more of all shapes and sizes. We believe that the best boot camps get graduates jobs. That's why we are so proud of our career services team and our career coaches like Scott here on the line today. And we are happy to prove it. So our 2020 jobs report is a third-party verified document. It's available in full on our website, but here is just a sneak peek of the results of that report. As I mentioned, if you have questions throughout the presentation today, drop them in the Q&A box, drop them in chat. I'll be looking at both, and we will try to get to as many as we can at the end. Reminder, you will receive the recording and a copy of the slides first thing tomorrow morning in your email. So if you have any questions, feel free to message me here directly on Zoom. I'll be looking, but at this point, I am going to hand it off to Scott to give you what you came here for.
All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much. Before I dive in, let me just quick introduce myself. I'm Scott Bowman. I've been a cybersecurity career coach for the last 4 years, but I've been a career services professional and consultant for the last 10 plus years. I bring a master's degree in higher education leadership. I have a bachelor's in psychology. I am not professionally trained in cybersecurity. However, like many cybersecurity professionals, I also made that transition into cybersecurity, albeit in a very non-technical role. I am part of the cybersecurity training industry, and I hope that many of you also make that transition into cybersecurity here, ideally with our help as we go. But laying out a little bit of cybersecurity certifications, I think, is really important, and understanding the learning pathway for continued growth in this industry is even more important. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and dive into my discussion.
While you're getting that set up, Scott,
Yep.
I meant to also give Syed an opportunity to introduce himself and tell a little bit about his background and what he does at Flatiron School. So Syed, do you mind giving us a quick bio?
Absolutely. Hey everyone, my name is Syed Hussein. I'm currently an instructor for the cybersecurity analytics, the online cybersecurity analytics program at Flatiron School. I've been at Flatiron School for a little over a year and a half now, working as an instructor. Previously, I have a little over 5 years of experience directly in technical cybersecurity roles. Specifically in the realm of cyber threat intelligence, malware research and reverse engineering, APT, and adversary modeling. So a lot of fun stuff there. And like Jordan and Scott mentioned, I'm happy to answer questions or to be here to discuss anything related to certifications, because I know you all might have a lot of questions, and there's a lot of question marks when it comes to certs. So happy to be here to help.
Yes, thank you so much. And it's incredible to have people like Al Said here on the call and part of this training experience, because they bring so much credibility, and can really speak firsthand to our students who are going through the training programs to really overcome those barriers and see the opportunities to grow going forward. So ideally, that's why you're here today, is you're learning about cybersecurity for the first time. Maybe you're already in the industry and maybe you're looking for that next step and figuring out, how can I continue to challenge myself? And the reality is that cybersecurity is an industry where we are all continuously learning. And so certifications are one way to put kind of that benchmark, or to create those milestones in your career, to almost perhaps build some level of credibility, but also more importantly, build that confidence in yourself, right? And that's one thing that we really encourage students to, as a way that we encourage students to really look at cybersecurity certifications. And I actually have the unique pleasure that I get to work with not only cybersecurity students, but cybersecurity coaches, and making sure that everyone's moving in the right direction, and that people are really able to capitalize on the thought leadership and best practices of this industry. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. And let's dive a little bit into certifications. So goal of this presentation today will to help you understand the options and to make the right choice in terms of evaluating cybersecurity certifications, whether they're for you, and kind of contextualizing them into the landscape, right? Contextualizing the need for them, whether there's a need for them, answering that question, and really helping you to start to prioritize a path as well if you are looking to pursue certifications going forward. All right, so we will define certifications, how they can help your career, talk about key types of certifications, we'll talk about security clearances, identifying certs that align with your personal career goals, and then take a look into timelines and costs. And the reality is that we're not going to get through every single type of certification that there is out there. There's constantly new certifications being pushed out there, and there's continuously new versions of them coming onto the market. And so the reality is that if you're looking to get a start into the cybersecurity industry, there are very common starting points and common skills that most people look to start to validate and build as they go. So sorry, let me just moving some stuff around on my screen here. Okay, so how certifications can help your cybersecurity career. So just in general, certification is the action or process of providing someone or something with an official document, attesting to a status or level of achievement. In cybersecurity, certifications don't always work like in the financial industry, where you get a series, 66 or whatever certification allows you to provide a certain level of financial service and advising. So, but the reality is that certifications help demonstrate a certain level of general skill in a special area, kind of based on an industry standard. So most important thing that I want you to take away from this is that cybersecurity certifications can help with skills validation, careers advancement, and also meet a DoD requirement. And we'll talk about that here in just a moment. Preparing for certifications can help keep cybersecurity skills sharp and help that you are aware of skills gaps as well as opportunities to continue to grow in the area of cybersecurity. So, or across domains of cybersecurity. Over a third of cybersecurity roles ask for certification, but as a general rule of thumb, if it comes down to you and another candidate with equal experience, whoever holds the certification or whoever has a certain piece of, tangible experience may get that job. And so the reality is that people are continuously learning in this field. It can be fairly competitive, and certifications are just one way to help validate skills in this industry. If you're looking at continuously, advancing your career, if you're looking to, say you get your start in IT or you do get your start in cybersecurity, certifications can be a great way to, realign yourself with a different skill set, right? Say you want to go more governance, risk, and compliance. So you may pursue more risk-focused or privacy-focused types of certifications, right? So it can be a way to help professionals in this field advance in their careers. And also, there are some DoD requirements around certifications. So these certifications can help you meet basic requirements for certification and information assurance roles within the government, Department of Defense, and associated contractors. We'll dive into what is the law, what does that requirement look like, and what are the certifications that help meet that requirement. Certifications are not a guarantee that you'll get a job. They're not a substitution for hands-on training or skills that you'll be gaining from our program, for example, or from additional hands-on experience in the industry from other areas. And to be honest, a lot of people in this industry are self-taught. A lot of people in this industry are just continuously working and may not have all of the experience they need, but they have the learning that they need to get from point A to point B in cybersecurity. Certifications are also not cheap. However, there are some vouchers, discounts, training programs, and scholarships that do exist. So if we kind of take a look at how we as an organization, we as a school here, Flatiron School, kind of prioritize certification attainment, we have actually found that the vast majority of our students do not need certifications to find jobs in the cybersecurity industry. Continuously on a fairly regular basis, we're seeing people get into security operations centers, security analysts, security engineering roles, mid senior level types of roles, governance, risk, and compliance, and consulting types of positions as well, where they did not need a certification, or their employer offered to pay for additional training and additional certification. And that is very common in this industry. Even companies that ask for certifications will very often pay for certifications for the right candidate, right? So the way that we look at aligning oneself with certifications comes around, where do you feel that your skills really align? Where do you feel that your career and your trajectory is headed? The biggest commonality that we're going to see is that number one priority is that we recommend people complete the Security Plus or the CISSP Plus, to a far lesser extent the GSEC as well, but these are all relative equivalencies. The key reason is because it's easy. Coming out of our program, we find that 90% of the training, roughly 90% of the training out of our cybersecurity engineering program, it is correlated with the Security Plus. And so there is a roughly about 10% gap, of course. And so people will continue to learn and train and build skills and fill that gap. And we see a very high rate of attainment for people who do choose to pursue the Security Plus, for example. If we look at second tier priorities, CISSP, CISSP, et cetera, this is something that I would recommend more to people who are coming into our school with more mid-level experience or maybe IT experience, management, software development, et cetera. You can also see here that we've broken this down into different vectors. So if you want to take more of a technical vector, more of an analytical vector, the CISA Plus from CompTIA is going to correlate more with an analytical cybersecurity analyst certification, right? Type of pathway. And then you can see more of a governance, risk, and compliance, which is really important in cybersecurity. There are absolutely people that want to go that direction. But again, I mean, these are just a fraction of the overall landscape of certifications. It can be very overwhelming, especially when you're taking a step back and you're looking at and analyzing what is the best place to start, right? And my number one recommendation for people starting in the industry is do not attempt to over specialize early on. Learn as much as you can, be as broad of a professional as you can, and have a good understanding of multiple domains in this industry. And we find that Security Plus is usually covers a good wide variety of domains. If we take a look at key types of certifications, so we're looking at DoD requirements, and then we break down certifications into vendor neutral versus vendor specific. So the Department of Defense Directive 8570 was established in 2005 to categorize, track, and manage the cybersecurity workforce and baseline IT certifications of those working in information assurance roles for the federal government and defense contractors. I need to move something around here really quick. So, not to get too complicated, but 8570 breaks down cybersecurity roles into different levels, right? And it's really looking at what kind of infrastructure do you have access to. So level 1, level 2, level 3. I actually have a resource in here as well, but if we start to break down IAT levels and we look at IAT level 2, we're going to see Security Plus, GSEC, CISA Plus. If I pull up Indeed, if I type in IAT level 2, you're going to see that this correlates with cybersecurity, IT, architecture, compliance, et cetera, types of roles. So not to get too in depth, but typically we recommend students target IAT level 2 certifications. IAT level 1 tends to be more like IT, troubleshooting, support engineering, et cetera. Level 2 starts to get more into cybersecurity and information assurance in that kind of domain. Not going to dive too much in there, but let's take a look at this. So if we're looking at IAT level 1 certifications, again, covering basic computing environment, information assurance. If we're taking a look at some of the more kind of fundamental certifications and places to start, I think CompTIA is a great, very widely accepted international organization, very reputable. I mean, it's a lot easier to find training materials very widely, and also training programs that are fairly affordable for these certifications. So if we are taking a look at certifications, IIT level 1, this tends to cover like A+, Network Plus, so understanding networks, understanding basic computer systems, etc. IIT level 2, of course, we see here just highlighted our recommendations: Security Plus, CISSP Plus, GSEC here. And level 3, you can see Certified Information Systems Auditor, CISSP or Associate, Certified Incident Handler types of roles. I really don't see anyone going for these types of roles right off the bat, or these types of certifications right off the bat. This is less realistic. CISA and the CISSP, in order to list as CISSP or CISA, require a minimum of, I think, 4 or 5 years of experience. However, you can take the exam without that experience. For the CISSP, you'd have to list as associate of ISC squared. I have historically seen some students out of our program complete this certification, but this tends to be a certification that people pursue more mid-career or senior level management and that kind of thing, right? And like I said, just because you have a CISSP doesn't mean that you can immediately walk into cybersecurity management. And that's a misnomer for a lot of people, right? And just the exact same thing, right? Just because you have a Security Plus doesn't mean that you can immediately walk into an IAT level 2 role, right? It is a way that they can benchmark your success. It's an easy checkbox and say you have a standardized education that we recognize as a key lever for success in this role. All right, so taking a step back, I think when people look at certifications, they think they tend to go to Google and they just search what are the top cybersecurity certifications out there. And I think what really is missed is the fact that a lot of cybersecurity learning is very vendor specific and understanding very specific information, security software, tools, technologies, etc. So CCNA is like a Cisco certification. It's a vendor specific certification. Splunk has a wide variety of certifications. There's Splunk Fundamentals Training is a vendor specific training to understand the Splunk SIM. If we look at vendor neutral trainings, those are certifications that aim to demonstrate broad compatibility and interchangeability of technologies, tools, and products. So Network Plus or the CISSP are examples of that. So I think a lot of times people will miss vendor-specific certifications, and really the focus tends to go to vendor-neutral certifications, right? So I think it's just as important to be able to understand the tools, the software, the technology, the platforms, as it is to understand generally the importance of cybersecurity in a variety of domains. And I would say that my opinion on certifications, again, I'm not convinced that students pursuing a career in this field need certifications. We really see that historically people have been hired because of what they can bring to the table, the versatility in problem solving that they bring to the table, as well as having experience troubleshooting in a number of different domains, not just cybersecurity. So that said, if you are looking to just continue to improve your skills and just continue to bring value to this industry as a whole, right? That's where I see certifications coming in and adding the most value, is really just as a way to ensure that we're all on the same page, and as a way to ensure that we understand how, not only how like the best practices of cyber, but how these vendor specific tools, platforms, etc., will work best for us in protecting our environments in the future. So if we're looking at vendor specific trainings out there, you know, just about any cybersecurity company that has a platform, that has some kind of tool, cloud infrastructure, et cetera, has training, has documentation, may have some level of certification or platform overview or et cetera. And that is another really great way to learn about cybersecurity and how it's technically implemented. So AWS, of course, has AWS Fundamentals, Cloud Practitioners, Solutions Architect, Microsoft Azure's Cloud Infrastructure, and cloud security is the future. You can see a wide variety of certifications there: Google, Splunk, SIM, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to quick shift gears because I know that cybersecurity certifications tend to also kind of get mixed up into security clearances and the need for security clearances. But like I said, the requirement for security certifications largely comes from the Department of Defense and from defense contracting industry. If we're looking at security clearances, they also oftentimes will have that as a requirement that people have a certain level of access to cleared or classified, compartmentalized kind of information. And so it tends to get mixed up in the same conversation, but we'll just quickly overview that here. So of course, we're breaking down clearances. There's secret clearance, top secret clearance, confidential clearances, Q clearances, polygraphs, and also, despite common misconception, a public trust position is not a security clearance, but public trust as well as another access or confidential access that some cybersecurity professionals will have. Let me move forward here. For those of you who are interested in potentially obtaining a security clearance, the reality is that most people who get security clearances are coming from out of the military. They may be transitioning into the civilian world. They may have had, secret, top secret, TSSCI, et cetera, and then transitioning into the military. It's very hard to find, but it also does not guarantee employment in cybersecurity. People with top secret clearances still have to build the skills to be able to perform the work in that environment as well. And so we tend to see those opportunities staying up on the job boards much longer. They last a lot longer because they're a lot harder to fill. However, clearances are obtainable for vast majority of us, I would say. Some positions will specify that you must have the ability to obtain a clearance, right? And so the company will provide some level of sponsorship in order to clear you and do that background investigation. So yes, US citizens and civilians can obtain security clearances. However, this may take a stepping stone as well. And if you are looking for companies, if you're looking for opportunities that say ability to obtain clearance, just another way to offset that and meet another requirement that is likely to accompany this is to potentially get the Security Plus, Net Plus, CISSP Plus, those IAT level certifications. Not going to go too much into keeping them current, if they're expired, et cetera, et cetera. We do have students who do come through our program and have certifications and transition into the industry with those certifications. And so there's a little bit of extra information in here if you're one of them. And absolutely, yes, you can be disqualified for security clearances out there. Key things are really honesty, candor, and thoroughness, really in the process and that background investigation. You can see here a list of potential disqualifiers as well. So again, it can be very important. It can be challenging, let's say, for some people, I would say, and especially because the process can be delayed, and a lot of times background investigations can go for months and months and months. So we do have 2 concurrent programs at the moment, but really focusing on our cybersecurity engineering program. We really recommend the exact same thing, I would say. across all of our programs, SEC Plus, CISSP Plus, GSEC, etc. And the reality is that we're not recommending that students get the certification per se. We're recommending that students study for these certifications because the content that they've learned in our courses is highly correlated with that material and honestly likely goes far further in depth. And so it's an easy checkbox. If we're breaking down kind of the cost and differentiation of these certifications, the key reason that I point to the Security Plus, I'm just going to skip ahead here really quick. Right? If we look at the cost and how it jumps, right? If we're looking at a couple $100 versus a couple $1,000, certifications are not cheap. And putting the money forward for a certification without a guarantee or without the support in finding a job or an opportunity out there, you know, it can be daunting. But at the same time, too, understanding these certifications and the training process and how it can work for you, I think is really important. What we have found is that, like I said, out of our cybersecurity engineer program, our students are roughly 90% ready for the Security Plus. Out of our cybersecurity analyst program, they're roughly 70%. And because our CSA program does not go nearly into the cryptography as much as our CSE program does. My goal is not to go into every single one of these. My goal is to really kind of focus on the key priorities here. But if we're looking at CISSP Plus, I believe the price has actually come down. It's around the same as Security Plus. But this is aimed a little bit more at security analysts, compliance analysts, incident responders, threat hunters, application security analysts, et cetera. And we find that our CSE program is about 80% relevant. So as always, there's continuous study that is needed to really be successful and to hone in on skills and things that are gained out of our program and to really reinforce things that our students do know well. But that said, we're very confident that our students are ready for these certifications should they choose to pursue them. All right. I think the last one, what was it? CISSP is the last one that I want to talk about. Biggest drawback of the CISSP, of course, is that it requires 5 years of IT and security related experience. However, without this, students will have to list as the associate of ISC squared. And as I said before, we have seen students obtain it on their own. But this is also certification that right now, chief information security officers, directors of security, you know, security managers, auditors, architects, et cetera, are also getting. So, all right, jumping ahead here super quick. Just wanted to provide some additional recommendations if you're looking for some free training. I believe that cybersecurity professionals can find their way into this industry just by bootstrapping it and working hard, learning, connecting with people, and just having a goal in mind over an extended period of time. And I believe that, you know, just a great way to kind of get a taste of that, as well as to take a look at some of these security fundamental types of certifications out there. All right. So I know that I went through that fairly quickly here. I think we're doing pretty good on time, but let me take a look at some of the questions that have come in here.
Yeah, we did get a couple of questions. One was asking, will we get access to the slides that you didn't dig into? And yes, we will be sharing this full slideshow if there was something that you wanted more information on. And then I also thought it might be helpful for just anecdotally, Syed, for you to kind of share a little bit about, you know, kind of your certification journey and how you picked as far as your career goes. And then we can dive in. Scott, that'll give you a second to kind of dig into some of the questions that have come in.
Awesome. Okay, so for my certification journey, well, I got my bachelor's degree in information systems, which gave me some general IT related, technical skills. But from a security standpoint, I had a lot to learn. So I actually went straight into the Security Plus training. I did that for free through Professor Messer. It was on YouTube, just like YouTube videos, and he basically covers each topic in the entire Security Plus curriculum in a video, like one by one. So if you go through all the videos, you can get a pretty good understanding, and you should be fine for the test. So I took the Security Plus first. When I got the Security Plus, then that's when I switched. Then I got a role as an application security specialist. So I was working a little bit on the pen testing side, but really it was a very junior role. So I was like learning pen testing in that role. I was doing some security incident response, and then just general like security system administration of like firewalls and data loss prevention and so on. And then after that role, that's when I switched to consulting, which is where I went into cyber threat intelligence. And so in that role, that's when I started to take a lot of the certifications, because I started working with a lot of different clients, and these different client teams were from different types of security teams. So one thing you'll notice when you start looking for roles is there's so many different types of security teams. Like Scott mentioned, there's governance, risk, and compliance, there's vulnerability management, there's pen testing, there's incident response, there's a security operations center. So all these different types of teams require different types of skills. So because I was working with so many different types of teams, I needed to train up a little more. So that's when I then took the Certified Ethical Hacker certification, which was heavily on understanding how attacks work, how to actually deploy certain attacks. But the actual exam, of course, it's multiple choice, so it's not like a simulation where you're actually conducting those attacks. It's just going to test your general knowledge of different types of attacks and exploits and how they work and different tools to use and so on. After that, then I did some vendor specific certs, like Scott mentioned. So I took the Splunk Splunk Core Certified User Certification, which is specifically for just a general understanding of how Splunk works. And Splunk is a security incident and event management system, and so it is so heavily used in the field that it's pretty important that you at least have a general understanding of how a SIM works. So I took that certification. It was actually cheap. They have Splunk has free, actually has free training on it, and the cert is like $100 or something like that. Then after that, I took an AWS certification, the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. That one was just so I can have a general understanding of how cloud technologies work. So it's not really security focused. It's more on just general AWS computing. Then I switched to taking some SANS courses. So SANS has some really good technical courses on all different types of security. Of course, they have some general security ones, but then you can really specialize and learn like specific stuff. So I took some training there. First, I took the training for the GSEC Cyber Threat Intelligence certification. So I got the GCTI. Then after that, I took training for the GSEC Reverse Engineering Malware, but I didn't get the certification for that one. I just took the training for that. Then I took the, and this is because I was trying to get a better understanding of cyber threat intelligence, and these were certs that were really going towards that specific specialty. So then after the GREM, then I took GSEC Open Source Intelligence, so GOSI. That one's going heavily into just OSINT. Then after that, I took the GSTRT, which is the Cybersecurity Strategy certification. So kind of taking a step back, not really as technical, looking at just overall security strategy if you want to like strengthen a security program or work in like security program management and stuff like that. So those are some of the certs that I got. Definitely, you will be able to see your path as you progress in the field, because you're going to figure out what you're passionate about, and then you're going to kind of continue moving through that. It's going to be really hard for you to be a subject matter expert of all these different types of domains of security. You're going to have to specialize, and then you'll find it out. Maybe you don't know right now, but over time you'll find out and figure out exactly what your interests are, and then you'll move that way and take that certification path. So that's mine.
One thing that you can really hear throughout Sayed's journey here is really just that certification and learning was a way to overcome a barrier, right? Of what you don't know, of credibility, of understanding a new environment and being versatile within a team, right? And that pathway for every single person is completely different, right? And should be very self-motivated as well, right? I think that's one of the things that was brought up there. Would you agree?
No, that's totally there. I mean, like, it's all about trying to fill certain gaps that you figure out the gaps are there. Sometimes you don't even know those gaps are there until maybe you're working with a specific team and you really need to strengthen your knowledge or skills in a certain domain. You'll realize that as you progress in your career. Oh, and like Scott mentioned, get your employer to pay for certs. Initially, when you get the security plus and stuff like that, you might have to take that on your own. But after that, if you're in a job, especially in a security related role or technical role, your employer will pay for that. There's personally, I've never come across any employer or team that says no, we will not be funding your training. They love to do that. They love when you ask to train and get better at your job. So definitely get them to do that, especially with some of the SANS courses and GSEC certs. They can be very expensive. So you don't even have to worry. Just let them do it.
We have gotten a few questions from folks who, have no cyber or IT experience, or have, a bachelor's degree in something that's totally unrelated and non-techy. How do you kind of recommend they kind of move forward into cybersecurity? What are the first steps for them?
So I'll start, and then feel free to interrupt me. But a really great podcast to tune into is Breaking Into Cybersecurity. It's on YouTube. It's on just about every single platform. And in it, they showcase stories of people who transitioned into this industry. And one of them was someone who transitioned from a theater background into cybersecurity. And just in general, I think that you make your background valuable to people in this industry in cybersecurity, right? You're coming in and you're helping these companies diversify the way that they're problem solving, right? Key problem in this industry is that companies are, a key problem that they're looking to overcome is diversity, right? The way that we solve problems comes down to who are the people solving those problems. And so hiring people coming from a variety of industries, a variety of backgrounds, not only just to support cyber, but to be able to support a business. Having a non-technical background, you may be able to add value in a wide variety of ways that company had not considered. And so I absolutely see people transitioning from all kinds of careers and actually coming fresh out of high school these days and going into cybersecurity professions. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. But I think you really have to be articulate about your background. First and foremost, identify what is a problem that this industry has, right? What is something that is needed, that is lacking, right? people tell me all the time, customer service skills, right? The ability to talk to people, the ability to do presentations, the business kind of professionalism of cybersecurity professionals, because a lot of this field is consulting based, right? And so coming in from a mathematics background, or having an MBA, or let's say associates in general studies, right, can be just as valuable, I believe, in the long term, as long as you're able to articulate the value that it adds to the company. Great question. I'll say.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was answering questions in the QA. So, so what was that question again? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Just a kind of first step for folks who have no technical experience or come from a totally different background. What should they do after they log off today to kind of pursue cybersecurity?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it will all depend, but I would definitely, like I mentioned earlier, really try to have a good understanding of the different domains of security, because security is not general. There are all different types of paths you can take. So first, think about and do some research on the different types of specialties you can go into in security, just like how there's like different specialties in law, or different specialties in engineering, or specialties in medicine. Really try to research that and figure out what are the types of skills you need in that specialty. And maybe you're more prepared in a specific specialty than you thought you were. So for example, let's say you don't have much of a technical background, but you're really good at communication. You're really good at like collaboration with different teams. You have very clear communication in general. You're great at explaining things. Then maybe going into like security consulting or security program management, or security project management, or governance, risk, and compliance could be like the security field for you. Or what if you're just, maybe you have some tech experience and I mean, we have people who are like, oh, I'd love to game, and I'm always scouring through different sources looking for cheat codes and figuring out different ways to to modify games and stuff like that. And you kind of have that like pen tester mindset. So maybe that is like the type of field for you. So think about yourself first. Like think about like what are some of your specialties, because we all have skills, right? Just because you don't have, or you might not have technical skills like IT skills, does not mean you don't have any skills at all. So figure out what you have. Maybe let's say you have sales skills, right? And you're heavily in sales, or you're really good at selling things. And security sales engineering is like an amazing route for you, because all these different security companies who are selling these different products, they need people who not just understand how the product works technically and understand security technically, but they need people who have like cutting edge sales skills and communication skills. So sales engineering could be a great thing too. So again, just really think about what you like, what are the skills you have, do some research on different specialties, and then you'll go from there.
Yeah, and just piggybacking off of that too, if you're looking for a place to start in this industry, I mean, there's so many free, not only learning tools out there, but just gamified platforms like Try Hack Me or Hack the Box or Hack This Site, or all kinds of different really like capture the flags and events and ways to get involved in this industry and really learn to understand what kind of skills are requested the most, what kind of skills are challenged the most, what kind of skills are built the most as well. Over the wire, there you go, there's another one.
Awesome. We're getting some questions too around the value of the boot camp model of studying cybersecurity. Well, one or both of you kind of speak to that aspect of cybersecurity training?
Do you want to go ahead?
Oh yes. Okay. So so with boot camps, right? It is intense. I mean, that's what that's why we call it a boot camp. It can be very intense. You're it could feel a little overwhelming at times, but it's fulfilling because you are like you're really dedicating your time and energy to learning this one thing. And sometimes a university program or just taking a training on your own with no set schedule could just be a little too prolonged sometimes. Like, for example, let's say you were just taking a training on your own and you were procrastinating and there weren't any due dates and it just will take a really long time. With a boot camp, the good thing is you have all instructors who are going to be supporting you along the way. You also have like a set schedule and a very structured program to follow. And you know that in boot camps, whichever boot camp you choose, they always have really good success stories. You know that there's other students, and you can meet and discuss with other students who've completed that boot camp to see what they were able to learn afterwards, the types of jobs they were able to get, and ways they were able to grow. So with a boot camp, the only thing is it's intense, and you have to be ready for that. You have to be ready to really put your all into it. There's gonna be times where you're gonna want to give up, but you'll have to just keep moving forward. And once you get to that finish line, it's gonna be really fulfilling.
Yeah, I could not have said it better myself. And I think just further reinforcing that, I mean, people get jobs in cybersecurity out of high school all the time. People are in high school clubs these days for cybersecurity and come out with all the computer training and skills that they need to be successful professionals in some places around the country. But that said, the reality is that these days, because so many people can learn and gain these skills, not every single person is keeping themselves actively accountable, right? They don't have the structure, they don't have that motivation, they don't have that push, they don't have the thought leadership, keeping them in this position where they're outside of their comfort zone and continuously learning day in and day out, right? Our students are dreaming about cybersecurity. They're dreaming in Active Directory and and regex and that kind of thing. So the reality is that our students value accountability, they value the structure, they value the fact that there's an end goal in sight, and that we as an organization help keep them on track towards that, right? And we are really focused on outcomes. So absolutely, as El Said said, you can speak with our alumni, you can get out there as a student going through a program, you can tap into that network. It absolutely helps. And in addition, we're providing this added layer of career coaching support and employer partnership support to help our students get from, day one to 0 day, right? So to speak.
Let's see, I think we have time for just a couple questions before we wrap it up here. I think there was a question around clarifying. So do you recommend attempting certifications before entering the field, or is it best to wait and hope your employer sponsors a certification? Will you kind of speak to what that process should look like?
Yeah, I believe that from a keyword perspective, if you're looking at your resume, if you're looking at putting out applications, studying for a certification is just as valuable as having it. Ideally, you'd never have to fork out money to be able to get into this field. But sometimes it should really be self-motivated in terms of your continued progress and learning in this field. So lost my train of thought. What was the question again?
Should you get certifications before
Yes.
you get a job, or wait for your employer to?
It is a very, very tricky balance, right? Yeah, sorry, I went on this tangent and now I'm coming back to it. So, you know, the goal is that the company will pay for it, right? But the reality is that sometimes you may have to put out a little bit of money in order to get the kind of quality training that you're looking for, I think. So I would say at the very minimum, look at what are the study materials. Is there a way that I can keep myself in a rhythm so that I'm moving towards something? Should I need to take that certification, I would be ready, right? It's kind of a roundabout way of answering that question, but.
Awesome, let's see. I did see a question that I feel like we should probably answer. Let me find where it was. Is the dark web a good learning source since I could buy all kinds of tools and codes for really cheap? Syed is our dark web expert. What do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't really call the dark web like a learning source. It would be a place for you to do, you can do research and get a lot of really cutting edge information on like, you know, latest and greatest going on in the threat actor world. They're constantly posting, you know, breaches or leaks in the dark web, or all the types of forums, underground forums and special access forums you can try to access to get information. When it comes to learning that kind of stuff, then yes, but I know there's like, of course, there's like dark web markets and stuff that you can get books and all kinds of stuff, but I would not recommend doing that because it's I don't think that's okay to do.
All right, one more question. I know we're just over time here, but I liked this one from James. Does age matter in cybersecurity?
I don't think.
Yeah, I know that we work with graduates of all ages, so just would love to hear perspective from y'all.
Oh, yeah, Scott, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, do you feel that you can learn this material effectively? Do you feel that that's held you back? Do you feel that the you know, that your age is not represented in the industry as a whole? I mean, these are all great questions, I think, that are just really open as well. And I think what we find too is that a lot of thought leadership in this industry are, you know, middle-aged, you know, white men, so to speak. And so absolutely, I would say that there's, you know, fair representation. But we as an organization, we support students of all ages. And we've had success stories of people all the way up into their 80s.
Awesome. All right, I know we're over time here, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap us up. I'm sorry if we didn't get to your question. There are so many great ones. We don't currently have anything on the calendar for November, but I know that there will be some awesome events coming up. I'm moving into a little bit of a different role, but our cyber events will continue. Maybe we'll do part 2 of this one since there are so many awesome questions. You can connect with Syed and Scott on LinkedIn. I can pass along their links in my recap email, but they are obviously a source of knowledge around this specific topic. But we wish you guys all the best in kind of whatever your next step is. If it is studying with Flatiron School or Secure Set Academy, you can apply for our programs online. We start every few weeks, so it's a rolling start date. So we hope to see you online again soon, or maybe in a classroom as well. So thank you so much, Syed and Scott, for being here. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, everyone. And also connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to help, happy to chat.
Awesome. All right,
Thanks,
have a
everyone.
good one, everyone.